Hello and welcome to Crafty Kiara. Today we are going to make sock pumpkins. Now it's fall, as you know, and I just wanted to kind of bring in a little bit of that special fall feeling that you get. Now I live in Florida, so the seasons don't really change here, and it's still hot and it's hurricane season still. So I wanted to bring in a little bit of fall flair. Now these are quite colorful, as you can see, and I wanted to do something for the coffee table to give it a little bit of pop. So it's a pretty simple and straightforward project, and we're just going to get right into it. So the supplies you're going to need an old pair of socks or one sock, if you have a spare one lying around, or you have, just ones you think would make cool pumpkins, you can do that. These ones I'm using are like the no-show ankle-high socks. I don't know if you use like tube socks and things like that. I guess you can make a little bit more of a distorted pumpkin, or a longer one. These are a little bit squished, so they kind of look like heirloom pumpkins, your Cinderella pumpkins. So that's kind of the style I'm going with. You're going to need something to stuff the socks, so you can use plastic bags. I know everybody's got a ton of these at home, or you can use newspaper. You're also going to want to get some felt, so you can make the top stem part here. You're going to want some foam to make your leaf. You're also going to want to have your needle and thread. You're going to want to have embroidery floss to help make the ridges that you need for your pumpkin to give it a little more of a defined shape. And then you're going to need either a little paper tube if you have one handy, or you can use a bottle cap from a soda bottle to cover with the felt so you can make your stem. And the felt is also going to go on the bottom of the pumpkin to hide your stitching, and on the top to kind of complete the look here. Now the tools that you're going to need a glue gun with glue. You're going to need scissors, of course. I'm going to recommend that you also get a pair of pliers, because sometimes it's hard to pull the needle through parts of the pumpkin, or if you're getting where you're trying to stab it through and you're almost at the end, you want to have something to make it easier so you're not stabbing yourself. On that note, you might also want to make sure you have a needle threader. Make your life a little easier. I have two needles because I'm going to have one set up for the embroidery floss and the other one set up for the thread. And then you're going to want a scoring tool. Now this is so you can make kind of the leaf indentions here on the pumpkin. I don't know if you can kind of see it there. It's kind of dark. But anyway, you're going to use that to score it to give you a little bit more of a leaf look. Alright, so let's just jump into this. So I'm going to take my sock here, and the method I found best was I'm going to cut here right below the heel. We're going to get that out of there so you don't have that oddball piece there. It's going to make it more of like a tube. And then I'm going to open it up here and flatten it out so I have the toe section. Now you could leave this intact, but then the whole bottom of your pumpkin is going to be whatever the toe fabric is. And if I want all these stripes, I want to get rid of that. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. So that's gone. And then you're going to turn it inside out, because you're going to do a simple little gathering stitch. Okay, so I am going to go where I had cut the toe section off and make sure this is all laying flat and wants to try to curl up on you. And then we are just going to make what I want to call a gathering stitch. That's probably not the right term for it, but that's what I call it. So it's going to go in, and you're going to go back and forth and just kind of bunch the sock up on the needle here. I don't know if you can see that or not. I'm trying to show here. So back and forth until it's gathered. You see it's sitting right there on the needle. And we're going to just pull it. And before you pull it all the way through, you're going to want to try to catch the other side here where the knot is, so that way it doesn't pull through. And then I wrap it around a couple times and then go back through the sock just to give it a little bit more stability. Go back this way, go back through, and then you're going to pull tight, but don't pull too tight where you end up breaking the thread. And then you're going to find a spot where you can finish your knot off. So you have your sock inside out, you're going to turn it right side out, and as you see here, we have a nice little gathered bottom. And as we put the plastic bags in, we're going to be able to shift it around to give it a little bit more of a pumpkin shape. So I'm going to take my plastic bag. Now I don't want to just ball it up and stuff it in there. What I do is I cut it, because if you ball it up, you're going to end up with like a big lumpy spot, and it's going to be hard to get it to flatten out and shape properly. So I just cut this up a little bit. You don't have to cut it in as many sections as I do, but I just want to do it that way. Now if you're using newspaper, you might want to do smaller sections, just so you have a little bit more room to work with. Because what you want to do is you want to put it in. You don't want to ball it up, but you kind of want to lay it kind of flat so you can shift it around in here. Now it's going to take a couple of plastic bags to fill it. But again, you don't want it to be too lumpy. So you see I'm kind of moving it around. And if you grab the sock and kind of pull on it here, you can kind of start making the bottom. The more plastic you put in there, the more it's going to stretch out the fabric, so you can make your pumpkin a little bit bigger, or you can, most of them seem to turn out about this size, unless you have less sock. Like if you had like a hole in one of your socks and you cut around it, or you cut the top off too far, you get a smaller pumpkin. So let's get this first bag in here. You see I'm just kind of moving it around. Try to get that nice pumpkin shape. So it's a really simple project. It's something you could do with your kids. They can actually stuff the sock if they want to. You can handle all the sewing and stuff to make sure they're safe. I can't tell you how many times I get stabbed by a needle. Alright, now what you want to do is you want to close up the top. So what I find is if you fold over that piece and do this, you have like your little flap here. Then you're going to take your needle and thread. I like to go down at the bottom and pull a little bit, and then again you want to catch the knot so you can make sure it doesn't pull through. And then I'm going to lay that down, and I'm going to go through the bottom of this gather point and pull through that way. Now this doesn't have to be perfect, because you're going to be sewing it down a little bit more. The embroidery thread's going to pull it in, and you're going to put a piece of felt on top. So it's going to cover it. Alright, so let's go ahead and get our embroidery thread. I decided to go with white. It's going to be a little bit of a contrast, but as you can see on these other pumpkins, it doesn't really show a lot. So I like to start at the bottom here, and that's where you had gathered everything. And I'm just going to push through here. And see how it might be a little tough to pull through initially? You can use your pliers to help you. That way you don't accidentally yank it and stab yourself. So I've done that enough. Alright, so we've got that here. Now I'm going to make my first ridge. And what that's going to do is, you're going to come over here, try to go as straight as you can from the bottom, and you're going to go up to the top. Now I'm just going to hold it temporarily, because I'm going to just insert the needle here in the same direction you're going. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to hold this and gently, but with some force, pull. And you see how we're starting to get the ridge here going across. You can see how it's bending. Now, you want to hold that down, wrap straight across until you come to the bottom, and this time you're going to stitch through. Remember, going in the direction you're going in. You're going to push that through. Again, if you need the pliers. And pull it. And you can see here, it's kind of compressed it. It looks kind of like egg-shaped. So now we're going to go back that way. And as you can see, now we've got two defined sections here. Now we're going to define the third and fourth. So that's going to go straight across. Hold that down. And we're going to stick this through here. So when you pull in that way, you see we have, you can definitely see on this side, 4 defined sections. So now we've got to do our other section. So you're going to cross the other way now, in between those sections. Okay, so we need just one more set here. Now don't worry if they're not super even. Pumpkins naturally are not even on their sections, so it's not something you should fret about or measure out or whatever. You know, just relax and have fun with it. So all we're going to do is just finish off the embroidery thread on the bottom, make a nice knot. I usually pick one of the lines and go underneath it with part of the sock here. Oops. And get our knot in there so that way it all stays together. Here we have our pumpkin form. So it's got all the nice little ridges here. You can kind of see it bumping along the edges here. So that came out really cool. So now we just need to add the final touches. So we want to make a stem. And we also want to have some felt for the bottom and the top. So let me get a couple pieces here. You can just eyeball what you want to put on here, and on the bottom usually needs a little bit bigger piece than the top. So I'm going to just cut and do some circles or ovals if you need to, if your pumpkin's a little elongated. So that's that, and that'll fit on the bottom. See how that covers all your stitches? Let's go ahead and use your hot glue. Don't burn yourself. And stick that on there. So now your bottom is all happy. And now you're going to make a piece for the top. Now even though you're putting the stem on, you want to have that just to, I don't know, make it a little tidier. Don't need that big of a square. Alright, so cut this, and you can just kind of lay it on top, make sure that's what you want. That looks good. Put some glue on. And that takes care of covering up your threads, basically. Now we're going to make the stem. So what I want to do is I put glue. Now, I don't really have a measurement for this. This is about 3/4 of an inch of a tube. I happen to have like a big paper tube that was laying around. If you don't have a tube, you can also use a soda bottle cap from a plastic bottle. And then you're just going to do kind of the same thing. You're going to, in this case, I'm going to glue this. This is so we can make the top of the stem here. I'm just going to stick it on here and let it dry. So while that's doing that, let's go ahead and make our leaf. Now I'm just going to freehand cut this. Usually no need to do a pattern. Let's see here. So that's kind of freehanding it. And you're going to want to use your scoring tool to kind of give the veins. I mean, it's not like exact or anything. It's more just like a little... Now you could use marker or a pen or whatever and, you know, put more detail in it so you can actually see all the veins, but this is fine for me. So I'm going to go ahead and put the leaf on first before we do the stem, and just pick a spot and put it on. So this should be pretty dry. I'm going to cut out the top here. Now don't go too far under the edge. You want to have enough where it covers properly. And then we're going to do the outside. Cool. Alright, so that's the top of our stem. And then let's get another piece of felt here. I don't need too wide of a one, and we're going to trim it anyway. So what I like to do is I'm going to put a little bit of glue here on the side of the tube, and I'm going to line it up here. Press it down to make sure it stays in place. And then I'm going to wrap it part way and glue that. Looks good. Now I'm not gluing the rest yet because I need to trim it. So what I'm going to do is pull this over a little bit to line it up, and then you're just going to take your scissors and trim along the edge of the tube or your cap, depending on what you end up using. And that way you can have a nice even spot for that. And then I'm going to glue part way here. Now don't worry if it overlaps initially, because you can always trim it. So mine, it's got a little bit of a lip to it, so I want to trim that part off. And I can push it down. And now we have our stem top made out of felt and cardboard. Let's see here, and then I just want to glue this on top of the pumpkin. Stay. And you just want to center it on there. Have a little bit of the leaf going underneath. And just hold it down. Hot glue dries pretty fast, so you shouldn't have too much of a problem. And here is our sock pumpkin. So I think it came out pretty well. It's pretty solid, you know, and it'll be something that you can put out year after year. But I like how this came out. You can definitely see kind of the ridges of the pumpkin here, and it came out pretty cute. Now you can kind of push it a little bit if you want to make it look a little different, but every pumpkin is kind of odd. They're not all symmetrical. So there you have it. We've got our grouping of pumpkins here that I could put out on my coffee table to bring a little punchy color for fall and a little bit of whimsy, I guess you could say. So we're going to be doing some more projects here for fall and for the upcoming Christmas holidays, so stay tuned to our channel. So that's all we have for today. I will see you guys next time. If you liked what you saw in the video, please like and subscribe to us on YouTube here. You can also follow us on social media. You can also follow us and check out our blog at craftykiara.com. And of course, you can go check out our shop on Etsy for Crafty Kiara Shop. That's all for today, and I'll see you at the next video.